Get that animal under control, or I'm taking you in. Officer Brennan slams his fist against Monique's car hood, his hand resting on his holster, his body cam conveniently malfunctioning. Monique's hands trembled as she held her PTSD service dog closer, her breath catching in her throat. After 2 tours overseas, she never imagined the battlefield would be a Publix parking lot. Officer Brennan stood 6'3", his badge catching the afternoon sun like a weapon, his smirk revealing a man who'd never been told no in his entire career. What he didn't know was that Monique's dashcam had been recording since the moment he arrived, and her younger brother was a civil rights attorney with the ACLU. Let me rewind. It was a Tuesday afternoon in Midtown Atlanta, the kind of day where the heat shimmers off the asphalt and tempers run shorter than usual. Monique Jackson, 42, former Army sergeant and current social worker, had just finished her weekly grocery run. Her service dog, a 4-year-old German Shepherd named Sergeant, yes, she'd named him after her rank, sat obediently in the passenger seat, his vest clearly marked, "Service dog, do not distract." Monique had severe PTSD from her time in Afghanistan. Sergeant wasn't a pet. He was her lifeline. He detected panic attacks before they happened, woke her from night terrors, created physical space in crowds. He was trained, certified, and had never shown aggression in his life. She was loading the last bag of groceries into her trunk when she heard it. "You! Get that thing away from me!" Monique turned. A white woman in her mid-30s, Karen, because of course that was her actual name, Karen Mitchell, was standing near Monique's car, her face twisted in exaggerated disgust. Sergeant hadn't moved. He was still sitting in the front seat, window cracked for air, watching Monique like he'd been trained to do. He's in my car," Monique said calmly, years of military discipline keeping her voice level. "He's not bothering you. He's staring at me. That's threatening." Monique blinked. "He's a dog. He's looking around. He's not even barking. I have a right to feel safe." Karen stepped closer to Monique's vehicle, actually approaching the dog she claimed to be afraid of. She pulled out her phone, already dialing. "I'm calling the police. You people always think the rules don't apply to you." "You people." Monique's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. She'd heard those words before. In diners. In department stores. From people who smiled to her face and clutched their purses when she walked by. I'm a veteran. This is a service dog. I have every legal right. I don't care what kind of dog it is." Karen was practically shouting now, drawing a crowd. "It's aggressive. It tried to bite me." That was a lie. A bold, ridiculous lie. Sergeant was still sitting calmly in the passenger seat, his tail wagging slightly because he'd spotted Monique and was hoping for a treat. But here's the part that changed everything. Karen didn't just call 911. She performed for 911. Monique could hear her from 10 feet away, her voice pitching higher, more hysterical. "Yes, I'm at the Publix on Peachtree. There's a woman here with a vicious dog. It lunged at me. I have children in my car. Please hurry." Monique's heart sank. She knew exactly how this would play out. She'd seen the videos. Read the articles. A white woman, a black woman, and a phone call. It was a story as old as Emmett Till. She pulled out her own phone and opened her dashcam app. The camera in her windshield had already been recording, but she wanted her phone ready too. She hit record and propped it on her dashboard, angled toward the parking lot. Within 4 minutes, 2 police cruisers pulled into the lot, lights flashing. Officer Brennan stepped out first. White, late 40s, the kind of cop who walked like he owned every inch of concrete his boots touched. His partner, a younger Hispanic officer named Ruiz, followed, looking less certain. Brennan didn't ask questions. He didn't assess the scene. He walked straight to Monique. "I'm going to need you to step away from the vehicle." "Officer, I." "Step away from the vehicle." Monique raised her hands slowly, palms out. "I'm the owner of this car. That's my service dog. I haven't done anything wrong." Brennan's eyes flicked to Sergeant, then back to Monique. "We got a call about an aggressive animal." "That your dog?" "Yes, but..." "Has he been vaccinated?" "Yes, he's fully." "You got paperwork?" It's in my glove compartment. But officer, this is a misunderstand. I'm not going to ask again. Step away from the vehicle. Karen stood 20 feet away, arms crossed, a smug smile playing at the corners of her mouth. She'd changed her story now, telling Officer Ruiz that the dog had lunged at her through the window, that she'd feared for her life, that Monique had laughed when she asked her to control the animal. All lies. But Officer Brennan wasn't interested in the truth. I'm gonna need you to put your hands on the hood of the car. Monique's stomach dropped. What? Why? Because I said so. Officer, I'm a veteran. I have PTSD. I need my service dog. I don't care if you're the president. Hands on the hood. Now. If only he knew who he was talking to. Monique complied, her body moving on autopilot, the way it had been trained. Hands flat. Feet apart. Eyes forward. She'd been in worse situations. She'd been in firefights. She'd pulled wounded soldiers from burning vehicles. She could handle a traffic stop. But when Brennan grabbed her wrist, not gently, not professionally, but with the kind of force meant to intimidate, something inside her cracked. You're hurting me. Stop resisting. I'm not resisting. Sergeant started barking from inside the car. Not aggressive, anxious. He could sense Monique's heart rate spiking, her breathing turning shallow. He was doing his job, alerting to a medical episode. Control your dog. Brennan shouted. His alerting, his trained too. I said control him. Brennan yanked Monique's arms behind her back, and she heard the metallic click of handcuffs. The parking lot had gone silent. A dozen people stood frozen, phones out, watching. No one intervened. Officer Ruiz stepped forward, finally. Brennan, maybe we should. Stay out of this, Ruiz. I'm just saying, if the dog's a service animal. I'll determine that. What's the dog for? Monique's voice was shaking now, her PTSD symptoms flaring, tunnel vision, ringing in her ears, the taste of copper on her tongue. PTSD. I'm a combat veteran. His certified. PTSD. Brennan snorted. Right. Let me guess, you got him off the internet? One of those fake certificates? No, because I'm seeing a lot of that lately. People claiming their pets are service animals so they can take them wherever they want. Monique closed her eyes. She'd been here before. Not physically, but emotionally. The disbelief. The dismissal. The assumption that she was lying, faking, exaggerating. She'd gotten it from VA doctors who didn't believe women could have combat PTSD. From employers who thought she was too sensitive. From strangers who thought she was playing the race card. But here's what Officer Brennan didn't know. Monique's dashcam wasn't just recording video. It was uploading to the cloud in real time. And her phone, still propped on the dashboard, was live streaming to her Facebook page, where her brother, Monique Jackson, civil rights attorney and ACLU legal observer, was watching in real time from his office in downtown Atlanta. Marcus had already made 3 phone calls. One to his supervising partner. One to a contact at the Atlanta Police Department's Internal Affairs Division. And one to a reporter at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution who owed him a favor. By the time Brennan shoved Monique into the back of his cruiser, the live stream had 1,200 viewers. By the time he radioed dispatch to say he was bringing in a suspect with a vicious animal, it had 4,000. And just when things seemed calm, Officer Brennan made the mistake that would end his career. He opened the door to Monique's car, reached for Sergeant's collar, and said to Ruiz, "Call animal control. Tell them we got a dangerous dog for pickup." Brennan, I really don't think. That's an order. Sergeant, sensing the threat, did what any loyal service dog would do. He barked. Loud. Deep. Protective. Brennan stumbled backward, his hand flying to his gun. Did you see that? That dog tried to attack me. He didn't draw his weapon, even Brennan wasn't that reckless, but the crowd saw the motion. The phones captured it. And Monique, watching from the back of the cruiser, felt something inside her shift from fear to fury. She'd fought for this country. Bled for it. Come home broken and spent 2 years learning how to sleep through the night again, how to walk through a grocery store without scanning for exits, how to trust that she was safe. And now she was in handcuffs because a white woman lied and a cop believed her. At the station, things moved fast. Monique was processed, fingerprints, photos, the whole humiliating ritual. They charged her with failure to control an animal and resisting arrest, even though she'd never resisted. They impounded her car. They called animal control to pick up Sergeant. That's when Monique finally spoke. "I want a lawyer." The booking officer, an older black woman named Diaz, looked at her for a long moment. "You got one?" "My brother. Marcus Jackson. ACLU." Officer Diaz's eyebrows went up. She didn't say anything, but she made the call. Marcus arrived in 40 minutes, a tailored suit and a briefcase full of righteous anger. "Where's my sister?" "Sir, if you'll just..." "Where is my sister?" They brought Monique to a consultation room. She looked small, exhausted, her locks pulled back in a bun, her eyes red from crying. Marcus sat down across from her, his voice gentle. "Monique, I saw the whole thing. We're going to fix this. They took Sergeant." "I know. I've already got someone working on that. He'll be back with you by tonight." "Marcus, I didn't do anything." "I know. The whole world knows. Your livestream went viral. 500,000 views in 2 hours." Monique stared at him. "What?" "Your national news, sis. CNN picked it up. So did MSNBC. The Atlanta PD is about to have a very bad week." But here's the part that changed everything. While Monique sat in that consultation room, while Marcus started making calls to bail bondsmen and civil rights organizations, while the internet exploded with hashtags like #JusticeForMonique and #ProtectServiceDogs, Officer Brennan made another mistake. He bragged about it. In the break room, over burnt coffee and stale donuts, he told 3 other officers about the crazy woman he'd arrested, the fake service dog he'd impounded, how he'd handled the situation. She was one of those types, you know? Always playing the victim. "Oh, I'm a veteran, I have PTSD, yeah, right. Probably got a note from some quack online." Officer Ruiz, sitting in the corner, said nothing. But he pulled out his phone and started recording. Because Ruiz was tired. Tired of covering for guys like Brennan. Tired of watching bad cops make the rest of them look dirty. Tired of being told to stay out of it when he tried to do the right thing. He sent the recording to Internal Affairs. Anonymously. Along with a formal complaint. Monique spent 4 hours in custody before Marcus posted bail. When she walked out of the station, there were cameras. Not police cameras, news cameras. Reporters shouting questions, microphones thrust in her face. "Ms. Jackson, how do you feel about your arrest?" "Ms. Jackson, is it true your service dog was impounded?" "Ms. Jackson, do you plan to sue the Atlanta Police Department?" Marcus stepped in front of her, his lawyer voice cutting through the noise. "My client will not be answering questions at this time. However, I will say this, what happened to Monique Jackson today is a disgrace. She is a decorated veteran who served this country with honor. She has a certified service dog who has never shown aggression. She was racially profiled, illegally detained, and falsely arrested. We will be pursuing all available legal remedies, including a federal civil rights lawsuit." "Thank you." They pushed through the crowd and got into Marcus's car. Monique was shaking. "I just want Sergeant back. We're going to get him right now. I pulled strings, he's at a county facility, not the regular pound. They've had him checked by a vet. He's fine. He must be so scared. He's a soldier, just like you. He'll be okay." When they arrived at the animal control facility, a staff member brought Sergeant out. The moment he saw Monique, he whined and lunged forward, his tail wagging so hard his whole body shook. Monique dropped to her knees and buried her face in his fur, sobbing. "I'm sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry." Sergeant licked her face, his way of saying, "I'm here. I've got you. We're okay." But just when things seemed like they might settle down, Marcus got a phone call. He stepped away, listened, said, "Are you serious?" 3 times, and then hung up. "Monique, you're not going to believe this." What? Officer Brennan just got suspended. Pending investigation. Monique looked up. Already? Already? Turns out this isn't his first complaint. He's got a file full of them: excessive force, racial profiling, witness intimidation. Internal Affairs has been building a case for months. Your arrest was just the final straw. So, what does that mean? It means we've got him. And it's about to get better. Over the next 72 hours, the story exploded. The dashcam footage, clear, damning, unambiguous, was played on every major news network. You could see Karen Mitchell approaching Monique's car. You could see Sargent sitting calmly. You could see Karen's exaggerated performance on the phone. You could see Officer Brennan's aggression, his refusal to listen, his hand moving toward his gun when Sargent barked. Legal analysts called it a textbook case of racial profiling and abuse of authority. Civil rights activists called it proof that the system is broken. Veterans organizations called it a betrayal of someone who served her country. And the internet? The internet did what the internet does best. They found Karen Mitchell's Facebook page, her employer, her address. They flooded her inbox with messages. They left one-star reviews on her Etsy shop. They made her a meme. Be honest, what would you have done if someone lied about your service dog? The comments poured in by the thousands. I would have lost my mind. Monique showed incredible restraint. This is exactly why we need to defund the police. As a veteran myself, this breaks my heart. She deserved better. I hope she sues them into bankruptcy. Karen Mitchell issued a public apology 3 days later. It was posted on Facebook, written by a lawyer, and completely hollow. I sincerely apologize for any misunderstanding that may have occurred. I was frightened and may have overreacted. I did not intend for anyone to be arrested. The internet wasn't buying it. 2 weeks after the arrest, the Atlanta Police Department held a press conference. Chief Raymond Davis, a black man in his late 50s with 30 years on the force, stood at a podium and read a prepared statement. After a thorough investigation by our Internal Affairs Division, Officer James Brennan has been terminated, effective immediately. We have also referred this case to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office for potential criminal charges, including false arrest and deprivation of rights under color of law. He paused, looking directly into the cameras. Ms. Jackson, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. You deserved better from us. This department failed you, and we are committed to doing better. It wasn't enough. Not really. An apology doesn't undo trauma. A termination doesn't erase 4 hours in a cell, doesn't give back the dignity stripped in a parking lot. But it was something. The civil lawsuit took 8 months to settle. Monique didn't want a long, drawn-out trial. She didn't want to relive the worst day of her life in front of a jury. She wanted it over. The city of Atlanta settled for $850,000. Officer Brennan faced criminal charges, false imprisonment, violation of civil rights. He pleaded guilty to avoid trial and was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison, 3 years probation, and a permanent ban from law enforcement. Karen Mitchell was never charged. Technically, she hadn't broken any laws. Lying to police isn't a crime unless it's under oath. But her life imploded anyway. She lost her job, her friends, her reputation. She moved out of state. Some people called it justice. Others called it a witch hunt. Monique called it exhausting. 6 months after the settlement, Monique stood on a stage at the National Veterans Mental Health Summit in Washington, D.C. She'd been invited to speak about service dogs, PTSD, and the intersection of veteran care and racial justice. Sargent sat at her feet, calm and alert, his vest gleaming under the stage lights. Monique looked out at the audience, hundreds of veterans, advocates, lawmakers, and took a breath. I didn't want to be here, she said. I didn't want to be the face of anything. I just wanted to get groceries, go home, and live my life. But someone decided I didn't deserve that. Someone decided that my service, my sacrifice, my humanity didn't matter as much as their fear. Their prejudice. Their power. She paused, her hand resting on Sargent's head. But here's what I learned. Silence doesn't protect us. Compliance doesn't save us. The only thing that saved me was evidence, video evidence. And even that wasn't enough until people saw it. Until people cared. Her voice grew stronger. So if you're a veteran, if you're black, if you're living at the intersection of identities that this country doesn't always value, document everything. Know your rights. And don't ever let anyone tell you that you don't belong, that you don't matter, that your service wasn't real. The room erupted in applause. Monique looked down at Sergeant, who gazed back at her with those steady, loyal eyes. "Good boy," she whispered. "We made it." Her victory was more than personal. It reminded every black woman watching that dignity doesn't stop at a traffic light, and justice doesn't require permission. Monique Jackson fought for her country overseas and won her freedom at home. And in a world that too often demands we shrink, she stood tall, with her service dog at her side and her truth on the record. If you believe service dogs should be respected and veterans should be protected, drop a comment below. And if this story moved you, share it, because Monique's fight isn't over until every veteran can feel safe in the country they defended.